And we are live on the Live Masters Showcase, and we are presenting another challenge crusher. My man Rique Rivera, entrepreneur and amazing father, family man. We're so excited to have him on the show today, and we're just gonna showcase him. Just to let you know, we are currently running a 7-day live video challenge in our community, Live Masters. The logo's over there somewhere. Yeah. Okay. And we're broadcasting to you live. I'm broadcasting to you live from the fabulous city of Las Vegas. And we're just excited to have Rique here. Where are you tuning in from, Rique?
I'm actually up in Salt Lake City, Utah.
All right. Salt Lake City, Utah. We have some viewers coming in live. As you come into this broadcast, do us a huge favor and let us know where in the world you are catching this live or on the replay. So, you know, you've been catching these videos, hopefully, and we've been showcasing amazing people that I've been connecting with that I really think you deserve to know about. And Rique is no exception. So without further ado, I'm just going to kind of give you a brief overview of him and let him kind of take it away. And we're going to get to know him a little bit. We had a nice little conversation before we went live. And I always joke to people and say, half the stuff that we just talked about, we probably should have talked about it live because really we're just having a good old talk. So, yeah, I met Rique, man. I think I met you through a mutual friend, Jay Chentalacy. We were just talking about Jay in another challenge that you guys were involved with. I think I've known you about a year or so, maybe a year and a half.
Just over a year.
Just over a year. Yeah, we've been following each other, watching each other on videos. And like I said, Rique's incredible. He's an entrepreneur and he's a father. And he's really inspired to help other people. So, Rique, go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and we'll just get the show going here in a sec.
So, Mike, you know, my story is kind of similar to yours. I didn't have the hospital experience or anything like that, probably because I hate hospitals and hate going to see the doctors. But, you know, I ran restaurants for 25 years. So hospitality, helping people, seeing that smile on people's face when they had something good is what it was all about for me. You know, building those relations, building that connection. In the restaurant, though, it got to the point that I was working so much that I wasn't a pleasant person to be around. I didn't have any time with my family. I mean, there was one point that I worked 73 days straight in the restaurant, and it got to the point that it took a toll on my back. And you know, some of that comes from an old back injury in high school. But it got to the point that I wasn't able to stand for more than 10 minutes. And so at that point, you know, I ended up leaving the restaurant industry and trying to figure out what I was going to do. Well, for 20 years prior to that, during my whole time running restaurants, I joked about jumping online, becoming an entrepreneur, you know, but I had no clue of how to do it. And so, you know, that joking, saying over the years, hey, you know what, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to do it. Became, all right, I really have nothing left I have nowhere to go. I have to try something. I have trust issues with certain family members and everything. And so at that point, I decided to homeschool my son, start running a business from home. And, you know, the business that I jumped into actually helped me physically. If you follow me now, you'll see me post up workout videos all the time, which I am absolutely ecstatic to be able to get back to working out because I missed it. But it was to the point that I literally couldn't stand without being in sickening, I mean, like just sickening pain. And that's where the whole journey started. I had no idea what I was going to do. Had no idea how to get a message out there. Was scared to death to do a live video. And you know, so I took an opportunity and I didn't know how to do it, but I started to learn while I did it. And it's been a hell of a journey, but I've absolutely loved it.
Well, yeah, definitely. That's the best way to learn anything is through experience, right? Yeah.
Trial through fire.
Yeah, exactly. And so now, how long you've been doing videos now for what? About a year and a half? How long? When did you
About a
start?
year and a half. You know, so my first video online, my first real actually online live video intentionally was done in July last year, July of 2019.
What does that mean intentionally? So you had done other videos
well, so there's a couple of live videos out there of me, like Ice Bucket Challenge on Lake Powell, okay, where my restaurant staff actually put me in a wheelbarrow, dumped about 20 gallons of water, ice cold water, so 5-gallon buckets full of ice water on me in this wheelbarrow, and then dunked me in the lake. So that was technically my very first live video on social media.
Oh,
and then the second one was actually Lake Powell again, and my team streamed it, me walking a tightrope from boat to boat.
Did you make it?
No.
That was probably the best part when you crashed, right?
Yeah, exactly. But they still streamed it, so those were technically the first two live social media videos that I did. But
yeah, that is, like Kathy says, it's always great to hear the story of how you got started. And so once you started doing videos with intention, was that involved in the community where you met Jay and then you met me and then
yeah,
you kind of started back and forth?
You know, I sat back in that community. I got invited to that group, and I sat back in that community for watching people do live videos, telling their stories and everything for about 15 days. And, you know, for many people, going live on social media, you're just like, what do I do? You know, it's scary, but it's exciting. So I kept hearing, just hit the button. Just hit the button. Just hit the button. And so it was about the 15th day. I was actually out rebuilding my carburetor in my Jeep. And, you know, as I was listening to one of the lives, and I go, all right, today's the day. Today's the day that I start the 30 days of live every day for the next 30 days. Today's the day I started. And so I went on and I hit that button, you know, and even to this day, if I still watch that video, I can see how nervous but excited I was, because I was just so much energy on it. And, you know, now that people have got to know me, they're like, oh yeah, I see it, Ricky. I see it. But the first time I did it, they're like, I don't see it. I see someone that has a lot of energy, but now that I know you, I see it. And so I went live for the next 30 days. I think I ended up doing about 90 lives that month, because I would do it in the group. Then that's about the time that I met you, and I started coming over to Live Masters. And I still remember that first day in Live Masters with you, Mike. I came in and there was like 6 or 7 different questions of the day. And, you know, I still wasn't in tune with the community. I was like, all right, well, I got apparently 6 questions to answer. And I came in and in about 2.5, 3 minutes, I just blew through all the questions. And that's what you chimed in on it. And that's where you and I met, was that day. And I still remember that day because it was an exciting day for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, the group wasn't as organized. It was funny because back then I just did the question of the day, and it was Monday through Friday. And then, you know, people necessarily wouldn't see it live, or they wouldn't know where to find it. And then, but when I did the challenge and I did a series of videos where people could watch and go step by step, that was a game changer. So, yeah. So you came in and you started doing those videos, and it gets addicting, right? Like you really got into what was it about when you first started doing them after the 30 days and everything that really what did you see in doing videos consistently that, you know, made you keep doing them?
Connection. Honestly, you know, big thing for me for connection. I've been in restaurant business. I've worked resorts, you know, I've worked restaurants across the nation. So I've always been able to connect with people face to face. So a live video still gave you my face, But it still gave me a way to connect with you. And, at the same time that I was doing those, I did a few lives on my personal page, which people still even get. Like, now I'll just randomly, I'll just pop on. Hey, what are you guys doing? What's going on? I just want to stop in and say hi. See who's out there. But I started doing some lives on my personal page, and I actually started sharing a lot of the books that I was reading. And I remember when I first started doing that, I was reading John Maxwell's The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. And so every week I started coming on and sharing what I read throughout the week. And from that, I actually had people from my past, people from high school. Hey man, I caught your live. Someone forwarded me your live, and I saw it, and I just want to reach out because what you were talking about, I could relate. And that we built relationships because of that, because of a live, because I shared something that I learned.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's what it's all about. When you, sorry, I got the dogs barking. I think it's about feeding time over here.
Authenticity has no comparison, brother.
Well, that's part of definitely having a home-based business. It is what it is. But now it's a lot more. It is what people understand now because so many more people are working from home. So this is like totally common now. So
getting more and more common.
Yeah. Well, so let me ask you this: what do you think? What do you think your three biggest tips for success online are? Because I know you're starting to build some momentum. You're working with some good people. We were talking about mentorship a minute ago. If you had to give people three tips to succeed online, what would you say that they would be?
Number one, invest in yourself. First and foremost, invest in yourself, because no matter what, you're worth it. There's 7 billion people in this world, and you investing in yourself will inspire others to invest in themselves to grow. Number two, do some live videos. Get out there. If you're scared of doing them, just do them. It's a great way to connect. I always tell people, give some sort of value when you do a live video. Doesn't have to be much. Even just a little bit of value along the way is going to speak to someone. Your story could be someone else's survival guide. And number three, you're already enough to do this job. You're already enough to be online. You already have all the skills that you need to be here. Or you can do what I did and have no clue, go around in a complete 360 degrees to end up right back to go. You work the hospitality industry. You had all the skills that you needed when you started this. So no matter what, you're already enough to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. I truly embrace that. You have everything that you need to have everything you want. It all exists in the moment, right?
Yeah, exactly.
For sure, 100%. So are you going to be going live daily now? Are you going to continue to go live? I mean, because a lot of times people say, oh, I don't know how I can make time for it. But I think some of the coolest Facebook lives are when people are just on the go. I tell the ladies, you can whip out your phone right out of your purse. In 2 minutes, you could do a video. What do you think about the power of the consistency of doing them?
So somewhere out there's always a live video of me daily. So for me, it's just a matter of no time. I'm sorry, I'm gonna get a little real here. Is an excuse. Okay, this is one thing about becoming an entrepreneur is that when I hear, oh, I don't have time, I don't have this, I don't have whatever it is, I'm like, that's an excuse. Let me break down the time for you. Oh, see, you have 4 extra hours in the day. You can't take 10 minutes to go live and build yourself up as someone that's an influencer or someone that gives value back to the community. 10 minutes, it's probably not even going to be 10 minutes. And I used to explain it to my wife like this. And now she actually understands a little bit better. But yeah, I'll do a live pretty much every day somewhere, whether it's here, whether it's on IG or TikTok or on YouTube or wherever. I'm doing some sort of live along the way. Sometimes that's in a private group. I mean, like you said, Mike, we work online. I'm part of a private group where we provide training for those people. We give them the backwoods stuff that nobody talks about. Going live there, going live TikTok, making a YouTube video along the way, and I love going live. I do.
Look at Heather's comment.
I see that.
Like you see the twins. Well, it's funny, Heather, that you said that is because our stories are very similar. We were definitely talking about that, and yeah, you got to find guidance and mentorship. Now, one of the questions actually that you answered in the video during the video challenge, and this is one of my favorite questions to ask people, and especially on an interview. What is something that a mentor has taught you that you feel that you really have a desire to teach others? Like a lesson or something that you've learned that you really feel that you other people deserve to know about from you.
I think I just gave that in the 3 points of advice.
Yeah.
Honestly, they've taught me to put value in myself, back into myself. Because, like I said, Mike, I went down a negative road for a few years. I lost value in myself, and these mentors helped restore that. That growth process, investing in yourself.
Right. That's exactly what we were just talking about too, like offline, that it's always a journey of continued learning, and I'm taking courses and getting coaching from coaches, and I'm continuing to learn. How can I coach and teach other people if I'm not doing that continuously? The best coaches in the world have the best coaches in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yep. You can't pour from an empty cup. So, and but that doesn't mean that just because I've done thousands of live videos doesn't mean that you can't get started. And if you just do a live video and you've never done one before, just think about the numbers. Okay, the odds of somebody actually doing a live video are pretty slim and none. And if you show up and you do one, you're doing something that most people won't do. Mm-hmm. So right away, you got half the battle won. If you can just show up and do them, and learn how to be yourself. That's the magic, I think, where you can just learn how to come on here and share your thoughts and your ideas, and it's going to be valuable for other people when you're learning and you're constantly learning. One of my favorite quotes is that the teacher only need be one chapter ahead of the student. And I love that saying so much.
I've heard that a lot. And since you brought that up, that's actually another valuable lesson that one of my mentors taught me along the way.
Mm-hmm.
You know how I know this, Ricky? I stay one step ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant.
Well, people will not follow you as a leader if they, that goes back to John C. Maxwell. He wrote a book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, right? He talks about the law of the lid, the law of influence, and all these different laws.
Mm-hmm.
And you can only attract who you are, right? And that's, you're not going to be able, if you're not attracting, if you, on a scale of 1 to 10, if you rate yourself a 6, you're not going to be able to attract 9s and 10s. They just won't follow you.
Nope. And, when you rank yourself like that, honestly, anybody that you rank above that is, I'll throw it out there, it's your chicken list. Mm-hmm. You don't know how to approach them. You don't know what to say. And if the conversation gets a little pushy, I think you kind of start to back off and start to doubt yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And for me, I get that. I still get that, because when I started this, I was like 1, maybe a half. And now to the point that I'm at right now, I'm like, who do you want me to talk to? Who do you want me to talk to? I don't care. Let's go. I'll go talk with them. Oh, they're a billionaire. I don't care. Let's talk to them.
They're just people.
They're just people, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, I've worked for billionaires before. I ran their resorts for them. They're just people.
So, okay. So Aubrey says here, the mentorship is probably the most undervalued and less known profession since evolution, yet universes are getting away with charging people thousands of dollars. Okay. I'm so glad that you wrote that comment. So here's my definition between, okay, sponsorship and mentorship. When you sponsor someone, you're responsible for, getting them plugged into what you're doing and showing them the way, like, here you need to do this and here you need to do that. But if you have a true mentor, they're going to help you keep yourself responsible for your dreams. That's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
There's a huge difference. They care. They really, really care. And the real work starts once somebody signs up. That's the real work starts.
That's awesome, Mike, because in what I'm involved with, I do a morning rally.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, every morning.
Yeah.
I give some tips of advice, something either on lives, on social media, on connection, on building yourself, something. And it goes along with what you said. Like tonight, I'll lay out my format for tomorrow, and people love that. But my mentor is in that group with us, and I slept in yesterday. Okay, I'm an entrepreneur. I get to sleep in once in a while. And I slept in yesterday, and I was about a half hour behind my normal time. But I woke up to a text. Hey, man, you okay? Haven't seen you yet. What's going on? Are you? Yeah, I just slept in. Here we go. And here's our rally. Here's our learning celebration. But exactly like you said, they keep you on track. They keep you accountable. And, it was my own fault. I straight out slept in.
That's where the relationship part comes in that sort of relationship, the mentorship relationship, right? Because if you don't have that relationship built with somebody, once you start working with them, when it gets hard, they're not going to trust you to reach out to you, because they're going to feel that they're ashamed because they feel like quitting. So they don't want to reach out,
mm-hmm.
right? They feel like they're going to let you down if they come to you with anything negative.
Right.
So you have to empower people to have an open door and be like, it doesn't matter what it is, call.
Yep.
It doesn't matter.
And you're absolutely right, Mike. I have people that aren't, they're not teamed up with me, and they're part of other teams or wherever, that I'll just get a message from, hey, how do you feel about this? Or, hey, I don't know how to do this. And me, I love helping people. I always have. I always will. It's me. I might be a jerk sometimes, but just know it's out of caring, because sometimes it's what you need to hear. But they'll come and they'll ask, how do you do this? Or can you help me with this? Or can you help with this kind of wording, or whatever it may be? And it's just about building that relationship and adding that value back to them. At some point, somehow, they related to me as being someone that could help them, even if it's a 5-minute mentor.
Right. I think the biggest number one thing that a leader can do is always, when they ask someone to do something, that it's something that they're doing themselves. So meaning that I would never ask anybody to do anything that I wouldn't do myself, or I'm not doing myself. So I don't teach. The only thing I teach people is I teach people what I've done, and I teach people what I'm doing. I don't teach people what I want to do, what I think I can do. I teach people what I'm doing and what I've already done, because that's where you can stay in your lane. And I think that's when they get out of their niche or whatever they say. You gotta niche down into a niche only you can fit into, right? And that's what I've ended up doing just by doing videos every day, and then turning it into a thing where, like, who else is going to challenge you to go live every day for a year besides me?
Right. Or yourself.
Yeah, or yourself, right? Well, people have done it. They've seen me do it, and they just challenge themselves, and they've gone off and done it. So, which is really, really cool. Now I know that there's a lot of people, if they're just watching me do it and they go off and do it by themselves, that means that there's a lot of other people that are wanting to do it, but maybe they need some support, and that's where I'm going to come in and help people out.
Exactly. No, you're absolutely right about, teaching what you know, teaching what you've done, or teaching what you're doing. No, I will never go against that, not ever. Because I know there's been a couple of times where I'm like, oh, I don't know, I've never actually done that. You can do it and see what happens, see if it works, but I don't know about that. You brought up the niche, the niche. And this was actually a very hard thing for me to get online, because, like I said, I come out of the hospitality industry. I come out of restaurants. I come out of resorts. So when you say niche to me, I'm like, well, my niche is connecting with people. My niche was the manager that walked up to the guest table and said, hey, I like those earrings. How's that chicken Alfredo? And build a conversation from there. And so when people are like, you got to find your niche, well, my niche was connecting with people. And so that's what I do now. I connect with people. I'll talk with people from all over the world.
You're a networker. You're a natural networker.
Right, 100%. Right. And that's what I did, man. I when I was in the restaurant industry, when I would switch restaurants and my regular guests would find me again, I would get yelled at. Why didn't you tell us you came here so that we could come here? I'm sorry, right? But that's that building relationship. That's that rapport. That's, feeling like you've given something back to someone.
Yeah, definitely.
I actually just got yelled at the other day. I haven't been in the restaurant in 2 years, and I went to the store, and one of my regular guests saw me, and from down the aisle, she's like, Ricky, where have you been? And I'm like, I've been at home. I'm sorry. Well, here's my number. You let me know when you go back to the restaurant.
That's funny. I was sitting here listening to you talk about your restaurant experience, and it just reminds me of, when you think back, anybody that's watching this right now, I want you to think back of all your life experience that you've had. And I can definitely tell you it'll correlate and parlay right into what something you want to be doing right now. I remember I drove buses. I was a bus driver for 7 years. It was the most favorite job I've ever had to this day from a job. What did I get to do? I got to drive these beautiful, huge machines, and I got to talk to people, my passengers, right? Like, I talked to my passengers. So just imagine Chavez being your bus driver, right? And you get on the bus and I start talking to you, and we start talking, and I start talking to you like I'm doing one of my mindset personal development videos, and I'm driving the bus. Okay. That's what I used to do. I used to drive the bus. And one of my favorite routes was to drive down Pacific Coast Highway. So just imagine, right? I'm driving the bus down the coast in California during the summer. Everybody's out, the surf contest, and the people are getting on the bus with their surfboards, and girls are in their bikinis, and the drunks are trying to do their thing on the bus. And it was incredible. It was the funnest job I've ever had. And you know what it had to do with is connecting with and talking with people all day long. It was so much fun.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that. I was a bartender for a few years, and same thing. I'd make you a drink and we'd sit there and talk. Dr. J used to sit at the end of my bar and sportscast for me. Right? When I was
Dr. J, Julius Irving? The Dr. J?
Yep. He has a house in southern Utah. So when I worked for a restaurant down there, when I got hired, I walked in, I was like, I want to be a bartender. I had all the experience, and they said, well, you don't want to go into management? I was like, no, I don't want a headache right now. I want to be a bartender. And so I became the lead bartender. But, Dr. J would sit at the end of my bar every Thursday, and he'd have an iced tea. He'd eat his tour of Italy, and sit there and sportscast for me while I sat there and made drinks. You know, and the one thing that he'd always tell me, he's like, Ricky, you know why I like sitting at your bar? Because you treat me like I'm a normal person. We just have normal conversations. I was like, well, you sportscast for me. What am I supposed to do? Yeah. But yeah, you know, that's what it was about, was building those relationships. And, you know, that's one of my more favorite stories of doing it. I've got a lot of connection stories. But that I used to have a grandma that would come in every Tuesday. And every Tuesday she'd get her food and everything. And at the end of it, she'd come up, she'd give me a hug, she'd give me a kiss on the cheek, tell me she loved me, and that she'd see me next Tuesday. You know, but hundreds of stories like that. And it's just about connection with people, just talking with them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you're definitely going to attract the person that you are. I believe that wholeheartedly. So, yeah. Matt, listen, it was really cool just like getting to know you. I think this is a really cool video that we did together, an interview with you, whatever you want to call it. I think it was just a great opportunity for people to get to know you, man. And we'll definitely have to do something like this again. You know, maybe a panel style. We'll gather some of the other tribe together and think about working on something really fun to collaborate with everybody that's gone through the challenge for sure.
Hollywood Squares.
Yeah, Hollywood Squares for sure. So thanks everyone that's tuned in live. I see Kathy DeJong's here, Aubrey's here, Gina Halland is here, Kimberly's here, and I just appreciate everybody that tuned in live. For some of that you don't know, we are currently running. It's open right now. Our 7-day live interview challenge. That's what this interview is all about. Rique just went through the 6 days of doing lives in our community live masters, and we're interviewing him now, and this is the process. So if you're interested in checking out our community live masters, please let us know. If you're already in live masters and you're experiencing the awesomeness and the culture we have, make sure you share the love and tell your friends, okay? Now, Rique, before we go, let everybody know how they can get a hold of you. I'm sure you'll go back and you'll put some stuff in the comments as well. But let everybody know how they can get a hold of you before we go, and say goodnight to everyone.
So honestly, I'll drop my name in the comments, guys, but it's Rique Rivera, Rivera. You can find me anywhere on social media. Honestly, yeah. And I'm always present. Right there. Wait, other side. Right there.
There it is. Yeah.
Just search that.
Search that guy's name right there. Wait, that's the wrong. Look, that's opposite there.
I do the same thing. It's opposite that way.
I'm pointing to the right, and it's on the left. Oh my goodness! It's
if we do this right, Mike, we could do the.
Can we give a high five? Let's high five each other. Let's see if we can give each other a high five. No, you're backwards. Come in, meet me in the middle, bro.
There you go.
Okay, it's a different camera angle. Oh yeah.
There you go.
All right, we'll talk to you guys later. Good night, everybody. Have a blessed evening.